Good evening and welcome back to another Fantasy Football Fix daily price change predictions video. My name is FPL Nacho and this is a series where we discuss potential FPL price changes to help you build that essential team value. Now guys, being a Friday night, it is crazy in the FPL market right now with the Saturday deadline looming, and we have plenty to discuss, of course touching on some of the big assets in the game and some surprising falls in the game, which I definitely want to touch on with you guys that I think is going to be a bit of a shock to you guys. So obviously guys, everything here is taken from fantasyfootballfix.com, the leading FPL platform. And if you want to monitor price changes, improve your rank or win those mini leagues, then be sure to head over to fantasyfootballfix.com, link in the bio. So guys, without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, to kick off this video, I've got up the Fantasy Football Fix price predictor ahead of tonight's potential FPL price changes. And it's worth noting, with so many price changes potentially happening tonight, I've decided to add a watch list together of the players that I think are of note to discuss about in this video. And of course, if you want to see the full list of the potential price changes tonight, head over to Fantasy Football Fix and check out our price predictor. There's plenty to look at. So I've just filtered it down to a watch list here, which is a great part of the website. And there are some notable potential rises and fallers. So Mason Mount, a player that has been on the cusp of rising for a number of days now, and that has been mainly due to wildcards skewing the progress bar. But he's currently exceeding the 100% threshold, 5.2% progress per hour. We're expecting him to rise in price tonight. Gabriel Jesus is another one that is slowly emerging as a potential Man City option, over the 100% threshold, likely to rise to 8.7 million tonight and currently rising at 2.1% per hour. We're expecting him to rise in price tonight, and he's someone I want to look at in a bit more detail later on in this video. And Rudiger, Chelsea defenders are flying right now, and with him back from injury, playing in the Carabao Cup, he is a player that is definitely on the radar, and at 5.8 million, potentially rising to 5.9 million, he is somebody that managers are looking at as a little bit of guaranteed game time in that Chelsea defence. So I don't shy away from that pick. I think he's definitely a great option if you're worried about the Reece James and Chilwell minutes in the future. We touched on Van Dijk in yesterday's video, and Hwang again is a player that we touched on recently. Still a good option in that Wolves team. But Bernardo Silva is definitely another one that we need to look at as a Man City alternative to the likes of Phil Foden, who did rise in price last night and still a heavily bought player. Currently rising at 3.3% per hour, Foden, so he's definitely one to watch as well. And the Liverpool duo, Trent and Salah, these guys are going to be close to rising. I'm not sure if they are necessarily going to make it at that threshold, but we currently do have them predicted to rise in price, so be sure to monitor that one. That's going to be very close. And a notable price fallers tonight, Rafinha. Now, this is an interesting one. I expect this one to slow down over the coming hours, as he has been confirmed to be available for game week 10, we think. So I think that's probably going to make managers that were conscious of potentially selling him probably going to look to hold him now. And I really do think he is a definite hold for managers. And two surprising potential price fallers is going to be Alonso and Azpilicueta. Now, it's worth noting, Azpilicueta has been confirmed available for game week 10. So this could be one of those sales where managers might regret. And again, I expect that to slow down that progress bar. But he is over the 100% threshold, so we are expecting him to fall in price tonight. And Alonso, I think that's a fair one because of the Ben Chilwell recent minutes. So we're going to have a quick look at some of these Man City alternatives and other options available for game week 10. Okay, guys, first up, we'll be looking at Man City's Gabriel Jesus, who is likely to rise in price tonight. Now, it's a bit of an interesting asset this season, Gabriel Jesus. Traditionally as a centre forward in the Man City team, now been operating more as a winger or right-sided forward in the Man City team of that front three. And of course, in FPL, classified as a forward, and 8.6 million, offering real value as an FPL asset. So I really think he is somebody that's not been talked about enough, and I think someone that we need to be having a bit more discussion about. So we're going to be looking at him in comparison to other FPL options, mainly premium options, because he sits in that very awkward spot of not hovering around that 7.5 region where we have players, but also not in the high heights of the likes of Ronaldo's and Harry Kane. So I've compared him against a few different options here, and I've filtered it by average per game, just because the minutes for different players here are very differing, and I don't want to be skewing the data. So this will give us a bit more of a general average of each player. Now, first and foremost, worth mentioning, at 8.6 million, And looking at the predicted points over the next 5, we can see that Jesus is predicted 22.8 points. Now, this is second worst compared to all the other assets, Antonio being the worst. And of course, that is mainly due to West Ham's future fixtures coming up. Now, Jesus at 22.8, I really think that this is possibly skewed by his minutes expected, that we know is an issue in the Man City team. With the likes of Mahrez, Sterling, Grealish, you name it, there are plenty of potential rotation players with him. So I think that is going to be one of the issues going forward with Gabriel Jesus. But when we look down at the stats here, I really do think that he does pose a brilliant option. Now, goals is something that he hasn't necessarily been really gifted with this season, 0.3 per game. Compare that with the likes of Vardy at 0.8 and Antonio at 0.8. There really isn't much competition there. But when we look at the FPL assists, we can see that that's definitely where part of his game has been adapted. 0.6 per game. Only Antonio getting close to that at 0.5. And that really does show that he is operating more on that right-hand side and being more of a creator in this Man City team rather than the actual finisher of goals. And another interesting one is the FPL bonus points. Currently averaging 1 per game. Antonio, again, the only one beating him. Antonio and Vardy, the only ones beating him there. But again, some solid underlying stats for Gabriel Jesus. And touches in the opposition box, 5.1. Again, not the best in comparison to the likes of Ronaldo or Antonio, but decent enough stats here to suggest that he is getting into great opposition positions. And shots 1.9. Again, this is my one main worry with Gabriel Jesus, is his actual output in front of goal is significantly lower than what we would come to expect from him playing as a centre forward, becoming much more of a winger in this team. And again, because of his price point, I just want to quickly look at the FPL points per 1 million. And again, at 0.7, he is currently second best to, of course, Mikel Antonio has been one of the best assets going. So he's been a very popular transfer going into game week 10. And my assessment right now of Gabriel Jesus is, now that he's operating on this right-handed side, I think when we get strikers, we want goals. And I think that is not what we're going to be getting from Gabriel Jesus in the same levels as the likes of Antonio's or going up into the likes of Jamie Vardy's. I think we're getting more of a well-rounded asset with potential assists and, of course, bonus points in this Man City team. So while I do like him at 8.6 million, rising to 8.7 tonight, I really do think that the midfielders at Man City is probably where the value lies. And because of that rotation at Gabriel Jesus, I think he's a bit of a risk going forward over the future game weeks. Right guys, next up we're going to be looking at the Man City midfielders. Now the reason being is because a certain Bernardo Silva is potentially rising in price tonight. And that is why we're going to be deep diving into the Man City midfielders. Now, it's worth noting that Phil Foden has been the talk of the town recently due to the recent performances against Brighton, of course, picking up those 2 goals. But I want to look at the underlying stats here to see if there are any other assets that we should be considering in this Man City team. And I've decided to filter it by per 90, and we have the FPL points filtering it down. So Phil Foden currently with the most FPL points per 90 at 8.4, down to Jack Grealish there at 4.33. And first up, I want to address Jack Grealish. When we look at the underlying stats here, with an expected FPL points of 5.06 and 4.33 actual points per 90, at 7.8 million, I really think that he is an asset that we should be looking to either sell if you do own him or a no-buy zone. Now, the main reason being is he has played the most minutes of any Man City midfielder barring Bernardo Silva, and that means that we have the biggest data sample to judge off, and that is why his underlying stats are the most accurate of all these players. And that is why, being bottom of the pile right now for this, I think he is a no-buy zone, definitely, guys, when we see the potential of the other assets available. And the same goes for Raheem Sterling, and I would also put Kevin De Bruyne in that bracket right now. I think Kevin De Bruyne could be a good asset going forward, but right now, 4 million cheaper, or maybe 5 million cheaper if you look at the likes of Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, I think you could save yourself a big chunk of cash and invest that elsewhere wisely in your squads. Now, Bernardo Silva is the man that we want to look at right now, and it's 7 million. He is ticking the box for guaranteed game time with this Man City team. He's playing brilliantly and also offering great attacking potential. As you can see there, averaging 5.38 points per 90 and an expected FPL points of 5.26 per 90. Now, of course, this isn't at the heights of the likes of Phil Foden's or Mahrez when he's on the pitch, but we are looking at assets here who need to have guaranteed game time as well. I think Phil Foden is going to get a significant amount of game time over the coming game weeks, but I think nobody else compares to Bernardo Silva. Now, another player I want to touch on quickly is Gundogan. Now, he's only played 504 minutes and only 0.2 million more than Bernardo Silva. But I do think from an offensive point of view, he offers a bit more going forward. 2.5 shots per 90 in comparison to 1.21 of Bernardo Silva. And importantly, the expected FPL points, 6.39 in comparison to 5.26 of Bernardo Silva. And Gundogan's pushing Phil Foden for expected FPL points going forward. And while I think Phil Foden is still the go-to guy in the Man City team, I think he's going to get game time, and his underlying stats speak for themselves here that he is a brilliant option. I think Gundogan pips it over Bernardo Silva, and I really think if you want to go for a bit of a shrewd move going forward, I think Gundogan could be a very interesting pick. We're not sure who's getting penalties in this Man City team. It could be Gundogan, we never know. So I think, guys, Phil Foden is my number one pick, but if you want to go against the grain a little bit, I think Gundogan is definitely worth being in the conversation. Okay, last up, guys, I just wanted to quickly look at the transfer stats section over on fantasyfootballfix.com at the transfer combinations for Marcos Alonso. Of course, a player that's predicted to fall in price tonight. I just want to show you guys what the popular transfers are, maybe just give you guys an indication of what direction to go in if you are currently a Marcos Alonso owner. So 7th is Marcos Alonso to Livramento with 2.6% managers. I really do think that this is a very good move for managers going forward. Livramento is a starter in that Southampton team and proving that he can get attacking returns. The only thing with that move is that is going to free up a bit of cash in your team. So make sure you have a bit of a plan going forward on what you want to do with that money. 6th most popular is Pinnock. I think this is a good move as well, but I think the preference would be Livramento going forward, although Pinnock in that Brentford team over the next 4 have very good fixtures, so a very shrewd move that could prove out to be. 5th, Alonso Cancelo, again at 4.2% of managers making this move. I think that's a justified move going forward. Again though, Cancelo is at risk of sometimes being rotated in that Man City team, so just be cautious of that going forward, but again, I think that's a solid move. Now the interesting one is 4th most popular is Alonso to Reece James at 7.3% of managers. Now, I think the reason people are selling Alonso is because of that potential rotation risk with Chilwell. And I think with Reece James, that is going to be another risk and a headache that you might not want to have going forward. Reece James with Azpilicueta competing at right wing back. I think that Reece James has probably got the number 1 shirt. However, having played in the Carabao Cup and in game week 9, I think Reece James could be a potential bench in this game week again. No information has been confirmed. And I think that could be an ongoing headache over the coming game week. So I like the move as Reece James, but just be cautious of that rotation. 3rd most popular, no arguments, bringing in Trent Alexander-Arnold with the form Liverpool in. And the top 2 is to Rudiger and to Chilwell. Chilwell dominating it at 49%. And I really think that that is quite a wise move for managers. Again, Alonso looks like he is second fiddle to Chilwell. Chilwell in unbelievable form and was rested in the Carabao Cup. I think he is a guaranteed starter this weekend. And Rudiger, I think, is the safe pick. If you want minutes and a word about Chilwell and Reece James, that is a nice pick going forward. So guys, that is a wrap up of the most popular transfer combinations for Marcos Alonso. Okay guys, that's going to wrap up today's Fantasy Football Fix price change predictions video. I really hope that has provided some value. And of course, with it being such a busy market, be sure to head over to fantasyfootballfix.com to monitor our price predictor. And of course, for all our brilliant tools available to help you improve that rank and win those mini leagues. Link is in the bio, guys. And as always, price changes aren't an exact science and they can alter. So monitoring that price predictor just helps you going forward. So guys, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and with daily videos dropping, you don't want to be missing a thing. So hit that notification bell. And guys, we will see you same time tomorrow. Cheers.